יאללה, נוסיף אנשים.
אתה באנמיוט, שחר.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me better now?
Oh, I hear you better now.
Okay, good. Hello. You're beautiful.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, all of you.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, hello, everybody.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to our session called Ambassadors and Bees. Part of the day are, well, maybe Andrea can explain us about the World Bee Day, and we can begin.
Yes, we will begin. I think is Australian ambassador already present? Just to check, I don't see him. Oh,
Yes,
hi.
I'm here. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Great to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, let's start. So good afternoon. My name is Andrea Burkhardt Martinez. I'm ambassador of Slovenia to Israel. And I feel very, very privileged today that ambassadors of Australia, Nepal, Kazakhstan, and Switzerland kindly accepted the invitation to share with us the policies of their countries that affect bees and relations of their countries to bees and other pollinators. And today we will hear Ambassador of Australia, Chris Cannon, Ambassador of Nepal, Anjan Shakya, and Ambassador of Kazakhstan, Satibaldi Burshakov, Ambassador of Switzerland, Jean-Daniel Ruch, and the event will be wrapped up by Yossi Ut, Ambassador of Bees in Israel and supporter of biodynamic beekeeping. I was wondering if maybe before I start speaking, we can show the little video clip that was produced by the government of Slovenia and Food and Agriculture Organization. Is it possible?
Just a second. בסדר? תראה את
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you. So this year we celebrate Third World Bee Day. The main purpose of World Bee Day is to raise awareness among the global public about the importance of bees and other pollinators for humanity in light of ensuring global food security, eradication of hunger, and care for the environment and biodiversity. This year, because of the COVID-19 epidemic, we had to significantly change our plans of celebrating the Bee Day, and many events that we were planning had to be canceled. And the campaign of educating and learning about bees takes place now virtually. So the COVID-19 crisis changed the focus of this year's celebration as well. The focus is now on the importance of safe and sustainable food. The pandemic has made the World Bee Day even more significant because it reminded us of the importance of secure, stable, and sustainable food supply chain and systems for the people and the planet in which the bees and other pollinators have a vital role. We became more aware of the fact that every individual can contribute to the health of our planet with small changes of behavior. And that is why this year's motto is Be Engaged. Slovenia is a country of bees and beekeepers. Bees are a part of our everyday life and a part of our cultural tradition. 60% of our country, which is located in Central Europe, is covered by forests. And despite being very small, it is very favorable for beekeeping, and Slovenians are emotionally very close to the bees. 4 citizens out of 1,000 are beekeepers, and our beekeeping association is over 140 years old. It includes 207 beekeeping societies with a total of 7,500 beekeepers. Beekeeping used to be extremely important for Slovenian farmers, and some decades ago, almost every farmhouse had bees. Sugar was very hard to come by, so honey was the only sweetener. Bee hives were installed into bee houses, and to help the bees find their entry, they started painting the front boards. First, these were very simple markings, and later they became very elaborate artwork, and these are very characteristic of our countryside. And if I can, I would like to share screen. I have some pictures to share if it's possible. Because I have some pictures of our beehives. Yeah, can I? Okay.
Yes, Andrea, now you can.
All right. Excellent. Can you see? Okay, excellent, good. Yeah? No, then agree. Yeah. Okay. So these are the boards that are painted in a traditional, very traditional style in our bee houses in Slovenia. So beekeeping is still a very valuable part of agricultural life in Slovenia because of its cultural tradition. And if you visit Slovenia, you will see these beautiful bee houses. But bees are for us much more than just for collecting honey. We are very close to nature and very outdoor people. We appreciate clean and healthy environment and healthy locally produced food. It was very natural for us to lead the effort to declare 20th of May the World Bee Day. And with the help of all the member states of the General Assembly of the United Nations, it was declared in December 2017 that the World Bee Day will be celebrated on 20th May every year to raise awareness about the role of bees and other pollinators in our lives and the role they have for our environment, food security, and biodiversity. In the European Union, Slovenia is one of the leading countries to prohibit certain pesticides that are harmful to bees. And we are big supporters of European Green Deal, and we firmly believe in circular economy, where economic growth is decoupled from resource use, and no net emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050. We believe in the power of vision for biodiversity 2050, and circular economy is one of our policy priorities. We also believe very firmly in the power of education, and we put high value on education of children about the importance of bees And in the framework of sustainable tourism, we are promoting the beekeeping tourism. Tourists would like to spend their vacation in touch with nature and seeking genuine experiences. And beekeeping tourism is a new form of sustainable tourism. It educates people about beekeeping, raises awareness about the importance of bees, and develops respect and appreciation towards nature and environment in general. Many beekeepers in Slovenia were encouraged to start beekeeping tourism because they saw tourists simply walking past their houses and watched them working with the bees. So they started offering the possibility for the tourists to come and observe their work with bees. Now some beekeepers offer even the possibility to sleep in a bee house, or of course, if you're not into that, to be fallen asleep with the buzz of thousands of bees. You can just make your own wax candle or paint a front board. The education of new generations about the importance of bees is at the forefront of the activities of the beekeeping clubs in Slovenia. Beekeeping clubs are active in schools and in certain beekeeping societies for over 60 years in Slovenia. The role of a beekeeping club is to teach children about the importance of beekeeping and the role of bees in the ecosystem. Many of the children then continue to become beekeepers as adults. Beekeeping clubs are voluntary. They receive teaching aids and materials with complete lesson plan. We believe it's crucial to use awareness, to raise awareness among the children about the role of the bees in our lives. Since 2007, our beekeepers have been organizing an educational campaign for kindergarten and primary school children entitled Honey Breakfast. And this initiative is now promoted as European Honey Breakfast. It takes place on a third Friday in November. On this day, children eat Slovenian honey for breakfast and bread, milk, and apples. This is usually like a traditional Slovenian old-style breakfast. It is important to we believe it is important to place positive values about locally grown, natural, and healthy food as a food choice for small children. In addition to this, local beekeepers collect and donate honey to schools and kindergartens every year for the honey to be incorporated in school menus. There are many incredible results that we see and which can be observed from this practice, particularly very positive attitude of children and teachers towards the bees and nature, support of local communities for beekeepers, and increase of the young beekeepers. This year, we asked the children in Israel to make and send us picture paintings in connection to the World Bee Day. And we have received about 130 beautiful, very creative artwork of bees. And every child who participated will receive a small award for his positive attitude. This was our first initiative of this kind in Israel. We are very excited that it was so well received by the kids and their teachers and their parents. And the pictures will be posted on our website and promoted through our social media. We are very grateful to the teachers that participated in this call with their children and the individuals who posted us their pictures, who joined us in our call to be active champions of nature and to be engaged. And this will conclude my, my presentation, and I would like to ask Mr. Chris Cannon, Ambassador of Australia to the State of Israel, to speak about his country regarding the World Bee Day.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Hearing me okay? Okay. Thank you and good evening from the Australian Embassy in Tel Aviv. I must admit, when I saw the heading, it said ambassadors and bees, and I thought I misread it as ambassadors and beers. So I was a little excited for a minute, but almost as good as ambassadors and bees. As the ambassador from Slovenia said, my name's Chris Cannon. I've been ambassador to Israel for about 3 years now. And can I thank Muslala, Magen Dvorim, Dom, and the Slovenian Embassy for putting this event on, taking the initiative to organise this part of World Bee Day. And of course, on World Bee Day, we recognise the important role that bees and other pollinators play in the continuation of our wild flowering plant species and food crops. In Australia, and everyone else on this call knows, Now more than ever, our bees are under threat, and we must find ways to protect them and give them and ourselves a sustainable future. And that's certainly becoming more prominent and more recognised in Australia as it is worldwide, including through World Bee Day. As some of you may know, Australia is a mega diverse country. We've got about 10% of the world's biodiversity, and our bees are an important part of that mega diversity. Estimates are that we have between 2,000 and 3,000 species of native bees in Australia, but only about 1,600 of those species have been identified so far. And while our Australian native bees are proficient pollinators, they're different from the European honeybees because they tend to live alone and in small groups. Our native bees are under threat, some of the issues discussed by others, due to habitat loss, introduction of exotic species, drought, pesticides, and in the case of Australia, which I'll talk about in a minute, bushfires. And all of those are impacting on bee populations in Australia as they are worldwide. We've also benefited from the enhanced pollination and the honey produced by the European honeybee, which has been in Australia for almost 200 years, introduced by European settlers. And since then, the European honeybees have established widely flourished. That's partly due to the extensive native vegetation we have, particularly eucalyptus trees. And of course, as people in Israel know, eucalyptus is a species that's a major feature in the ecosystem here, and those trees having been brought to Israel from Australia. Our abundant native floral resources produce the large quantities of pollen and nectar that make Australia an ideal climatic and geographic region for the honeybee. Our honeybee population is quite unique in that it's nomadic. Hives are often moved up to 20 times a year to increase pollination variety. And the blend of pollination from our Australian plants, particularly Manica, has made our honey world renowned. So I recommend you try it. I think you can get it in some places in Israel. And I should say that while the introduced honeybee from Europe has increased the pollination of many crops, it's also had an environmental downside, and that's because of the increased pollination of unwanted introduced weeds that have disrupted the habitats of many native bees, as well as other birds and mammals. As some of you might be aware, Australia is a major agricultural exporter, sometimes described as the food bowl of Asia. Well, that's our aim. We've got a target of about $100 billion of agricultural exports by 2030, much of that going to fast-growing Asian markets. And bees are at the heart of our agricultural industry and our agricultural productivity. About 75% of our food crops rely on animal population, and honeybees contribute to the productivity of many horticultural and seed crops. And these essential pollination services improve our crop yield and our quality. And the estimates are that these pollination services contributed to something about between $600 million and $1.7 billion to the value of our agricultural production per annum. Not to mention the production of our honey of something like 25,000 tonnes a year. And it is fair to say that Australians value they're an important part of our economy, as I mentioned, and a part of the cultural landscape. My grandfather was a farmer and a beekeeper, and our own head of state, Australia's Governor General, who visited Israel in January this year, by the way, is a dedicated beekeeper. But despite that, I think it's also true to say that the precarious situation facing our bees isn't as widely known as it should be. I think we've got someone that needs to mute their microphone. We're getting some interruption from Yael Navon. But our bee, as I mentioned, our bee population continues to face serious threats of loss of habitat. I've mentioned drought and fires and the introduction of pests and diseases. Many of you would be aware of what we describe as the Black Summer bushfires, the very extensive bushfires over the Australian summer of December and January, just months ago, although it seems much longer, where we lost 10 to 15 million hectares of due to bushfire, which is something like well over 5 times the size of Israel lost to bushfires. And unfortunately, thousands of beehives were tragically destroyed in those fires, which may cause something like 30% decline in our honey production over the next 5 to 10 years. So our Australian researchers are giving a priority to investigating ways to complement the pollination of honeybees with native insects, particularly native stingless bees. From an Australian perspective, that's a lot of bad news with the bushfires, but there is good news, and that is that Australia continues to so far remain free of the varroa mite, which has affected so many bee populations in other parts of the world and which will be devastating for Australia. And that's why, just by way of background, that Australia places a big focus on biosecurity to prevent the introduction of exotic pests. We have the advantage of being a country, a continent and an island, so we can do that more effectively than many countries, including through surveillance outside Australia through the International Plant Health Surveillance Program, the inspection of people and goods as they come into Australia, although much less people now, and surveillance and detection within Australia to keep Australia free from pests such as the varroa mite. And I think it's fair to say the protection of bees has become a major priority for Australia and governments, our state governments and our federal governments, and our farmers who are now working together to manage the protection of the honey of the European honeybee, to optimise crop pollination, and also looking for alternative crop pollinators. Australia's peak scientific body, the CSIRO, actually hosts the Global Initiative for Honeybee Health, the GIHH, in Australia, in Tasmania, I believe, which has got a mandate to protect and improve the health of honeybees, ensure sustainable production of crops that depend on pollination that I talked about, and of course to increase productivity of those crops and of the bees. And I was very excited to learn that the GIHH has developed microsensors, tiny microsensors known as backpacks that are manually fitted to the bee to record their movements. And that allows the scientists to study and analyse the effect of stress on their bees and the impact that has on their ability to pollinate. And that'll give us insights that we can study and apply on a global scale to increase our knowledge of honeybees and to ensure the health of our honeybees. Researchers in New South Wales in Australia are also working on genetic improvement programs, including breeding queen bees with enhanced honey production, disease resistance, and pollination performance. So I think there are some exciting things happening in Australia. We take the health of our bee population very seriously because of its part in our ecosystem and its part in agriculture. And on that note, can I wish everyone a happy World Bee Day. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you very much. And the next one that I would like to invite to speak is Mrs. Anjan Shakya, Ambassador of Nepal.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. At the outset, let me thank you, Ambassador Andrea, for inviting me, for providing this opportunity to share my ideas in this wonderful platform. And I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all on the occasion of World Bee Day 2020 for your peaceful life and happiness life and prosperous days ahead. Now, I would like to speak about apiculture in Nepal. Nepalese economy is dominated by agriculture. It is the livelihood for more than 60% of country's population. Since 5 decades, agriculture has got the highest priority because economic growth is being dependent on both increasing the productivity of existing crops and diversifying the agricultural base for use as industrial inputs. Agriculture is the main source of food, income, and employment for the majority. Currently, it constitutes about 30% of the GDP. Crops such as paddy, maize, wheat, millet, barley, buckwheat form a major portion of country's agriculture of Nepal. However, farming of cash crops, including tea, coffee, sugarcane, oilseed, cotton, jute, silkworm, etc., covers notable share of agriculture sector. Also, beekeeping conventionally serves as an important component of Nepalese rural lives. Nepal is known for its ancestral technology of beekeeping. Geographical conditions and lack of modern equipment have forced the collectors to risk their lives. Apiculture in Nepal began 20 years ago, but is still not very developed. Different species of honey-producing bees are found in Nepal. However, only two of them are raised for apiculture. They are Apis cerana and Apis mellifera. Apis cerana is very famous in Nepal because of the low cost of its beehive, the log hive. Farmers can build their own beehives, making a hole in a trunk of trees. This species is much more resistant than other species to cold and predators. These can survive in low temperatures. In Nepal, this species is found at an altitude of 60 to 3,500 meters and produces honey 2 times a year. The first time is during the summer, March to May, and the second time during the winter, November to December. Nepal is the only country in the world where honey is produced between the ranges of 60 meters to 4,200 meters above the sea level because of the weather. Generally, weather is moderate in Nepal all year long. The flat land area with varieties of flowering plants have made Nepal a suitable ground for honey production. Nepal's ecology is very much favorable for apiculture because of huge area of forest. 44% of total land area of Nepal, there is sufficient area for their pasture. About 70% of the honey produced in Nepal comes from wild flora, which is by definition organic. Field of mustard is the best pasture land for bees in Nepal so as to collect extracts which constitutes the main content of honey. Depending on the climatic conditions and availability of flowers, beekeeping is considered to have seasons for its better yield. Nepal's honey production is approximately 4,000 metric tons annually. Nepal's potential is very high compared to the present production. Key export markets for Nepalese honey are India, China, and Malaysia. Also, there is a huge demand of Nepalese honey in Europe and America, but unfortunately, Nepal cannot fulfill their demand due to low scale of production. So I would like to mention here that we would like to welcome you, the investors, that there are so much potentiality to invest in this sector, honey in Nepal. Nepal exports around 4 metric tons of honey annually, for which it gets a good price, but domestic demand exceeds output and it imports even about 300 metric tons. The government of Nepal has laid emphasis on promoting and improving honey production and provides subsidized materials and technical support. Apart from farming and extracting honey domesticated, there is also a culture of honey hunting wild in steep cliffs of Nepal that will be presented shortly after this speech, along with illustration of apiculture in Nepal. I will show you later. Beekeeping all around the world is threatened continuously by deforestation and parasites. Increasing use of insecticides is equally responsible for the destruction of bees. So we would jointly strive in the conservation of this social insect, which is very important. Bees are important from many angles. It doesn't need significant investment in course of beekeeping. Honey is food as well as medicine. Honey is not only nutritious to intake and tonic to the skin, acts as antibiotic, but also is biting. Surprisingly, is beneficial as it can cure health problems such as uric acid and hypertension. Respecting this social insect, we may have many good habits to learn. Bees work tirelessly, which is the most important takeaway for all of us to follow and internalize in our daily lives. So diplomats have to learn the attributes what bees possesses. We do not only get economic benefits from bees, but also bees contribute in pollination and fruiting. A bee visits hundreds of flowers in its single trip. which is sufficient to help in required proportion of pollination. So it is not an exaggeration to say that bees are contributing remarkably in the conservation and balance of ecosystem. This is my speech, and now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to show you a short video which may be very interesting for you, all of you, that it shows the traditional way of beekeeping and business purpose that Nepal is doing and export to different countries. Here it is. This is the short video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And this is, you can see the different utilization of honey. Now, another video will be more exciting for you. That it is the video of honey hunter, and this one is maybe the height of 4,200-meter height that the people are doing in Nepal. I hope you will enjoy more than.
Heart of Nepal lives a tribe of honey hunters, the Gurus. They are the last humans before an 8,000-meter mountain peak, and their village is surrounded by thick jungle, its secrets a mystery to all but the locals. 1 month a year, giant Himalayan bees, the biggest bees in the world, come to gather nectar from poisonous flowers, giving the honey they make certain medicinal, aphrodisiac and hallucinogenic properties. The Gurungs take outrageous risks to collect the honey from the cliffside hives. But they've developed an almost mystical rapport with the bees, which enables them to work without any protective clothing. The precious liquid has to be eaten with great care to avoid serious intoxication. Hives of domesticated bees, which are more docile and twice as small as the wild bees, are built into the walls. The honey can be collected from inside the houses. At dawn, the village gets ready for a honey hunting trip. First of all, there's a ritual called a puja. Puja is a Hindu term referring to a religious ritual where incense is burned and prayers are offered. The Gurungs are Buddhists, but have retained a form of animism in their relations with nature. They invoke certain spirits, in this case a forest spirit, to whom they offer the life of a cock, a sacrifice that will guarantee a successful honey harvest. Rungs are fitted into ropes made from braided bamboo. They are then fixed using bamboo shoots. The hunters prepare bundles of green leaves, which they will light to smoke out the bees. The ladder is drenched with water, so it isn't damaged by the flames. Nandalal has chosen a solid root to fix the ladder. A safety mechanism is connected too. A wooden structure is installed to hold a wicker basket for filtering the honey. The hunters will split up. Pershing will climb the ladder and cut holes in the wax using sharpened bamboo spatulas. Lukba, Nandalal and Dali will stay at the top and raise and lower the baskets of honey. They have to light a fire to protect themselves from attacks by the bees. Noba will descend to the cliff base to smoke out the hives. Kershing performs a final ritual as he lays out leaves on the ground. When we arrive, the bees adopt a very specific behavior: defense waves. Raising their wings in turn, they create a kind of wave around the hive, a visual alarm signal to any predator or imprudent invader. Before the bees attack, Noba lights a fire and the smoke rises along the cliff face. Kershing climbs up wearing just shorts and a t-shirt. His confidence is astounding, and his mystical rapport with the bees is clear as he finds himself facing a furious swarm. flaming bundle of leaves is lowered, and Kirsching tries to use it to divert the bees' attentions. The bees see the smoke as a sign of fire, and the hunter's presence becomes a secondary problem for them. Kirsching will sometimes remain immobile for several minutes to make the bees less aggressive. To keep his hands free, he has attached bamboo stakes to his arms. A basket is lowered on a rope. He pushes it under the holes in the wax and, using the stakes, cuts out several kilos of honey, which fall into the basket. The other team members simply haul the basket to the cliff top. The harvest demands perfect coordination, but the tribe's history has been marked by several fatal accidents. Each cliff bears the name of a dead hunter inscribed on the rock. Kirsching drops a block of honey. Kirsching climbs back up. He hasn't been stung. It's a good harvest, and everyone is safe and sound. The honey has soothing quality. The honey has soothing qualities, and the Gurungs use it as an aphrodisiac. They consume a spoonful every morning, as it helps with their immunity systems, hence the name honey for a long life or immortality. Although a higher dose can affect the vision and even induce hallucinations. The honey also has healing qualities, more than normal honey. The filter enables impurities such as dead bees and insects to be removed.
Ladies and gentlemen, you watched Nepal's wild honey hunter, and this is very exclusive video. You may enjoy it. This is my conclusion of my speech and my presentation. Once again, I would like to wish you all on this occasion of World Bee Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was very interesting. I've never seen or heard of this kind of practice before. Thank you very much for this movie and this presentation. And happy Bee Day to you as well. And we continue on. The next is Ambassador of Kazakhstan, Tatibaldi Bushakov.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, yes, we hear you. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Andrea and the Israeli partners, thank you very much for this initiative, inviting us to be engaged in this very interesting event, World Bee Day, and this is my congratulations for you all. And just very recently, I have also received a phone call from the president of the National Union of Beekeepers of Kazakhstan, Balara, Mr. Terrace, and he sends greetings to all of the participants. And he's the first Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, and now he's dealing with commercial affairs. At the same time, he's a Honorable Consul of Israel to Kazakhstan. So he has been in Israel many times, and he knows many Israeli partners who is dealing with beekeeping. And I would like also to demonstrate honey at the beginning, which I get from our embassy stock. So this can of honey, Kazakh honey. So I promise that every participant of today's conference can get it when we meet next time, personally. So this is my short demonstration of real honey which we are exporting. Let me get to my short presentation about beekeeping in Kazakhstan. So the territory of Kazakhstan occupies 2.7 million square kilometers. Well, by the territory, it's one of the largest countries in the world, ninth in the world, I think, Australia. So there are vast steppes and the sultry, endless deserts, lakes and rivers, forests, oases and mountains, which is in the meantime favorable also for good beekeeping industry. In the north of Kazakhstan, we have cold Siberian climate, and in the south, hot desert. The most important branch of agriculture is animal husbandry. Sheep, cattle, pigs, horses, camels, poultry, and bees are bred in the territory of Kazakhstan. At the peak of this industry in Kazakhstan, there were more than 220,000 bee families. So if you go to the history of beekeeping, beekeeping in Kazakhstan was first developed as an industry in the East Kazakhstan region since about 1786. So in 2016, Kazakhstan celebrated 230 years of beekeeping. Beginning in the middle of the 19th century, bees began to spread in many parts of Zhetisu and the Ile-Alatau southeast part of Kazakhstan. The nature of the Tian Shan mountain system was the most suitable place for bees. It is believed that from Altai Mountains is the sweetest honey in Central Asia. The peculiarity of the Altai Mountains in the fact that here we have an excellent base of honey. Wild plants provide us with interesting preferred in Kazakhstan feature, which we definitely took advantage of. In the East Kazakhstan region, there are around 70% of the bees of the country produced. So I have sent to my colleagues here some pictures or a video. If we can demonstrate, I don't know if it's possible for this moment. Yes, thank you. There are some short pictures. This is from South Kazakhstan, south part of Kazakhstan. It was very recently in April in the mountains area. Yeah. You can see some cans of honeys, which we sell in the shops and also export. 1,063 tenge, it's a national currency. It's about $5, something like that. Okay, this is also a honey product. Yeah. Okay, I think there was a video, but this is generally about tourism. Great Canyon, the south part of Kazakhstan.
We go about our daily lives understanding almost nothing of the world. We give little thought to the machinery that generates the sunlight that makes life possible, to the gravity that glues us to an Earth that would otherwise send us spinning off into space, or to the atoms of which we're made and on whose stability we fundamentally depend. Few of us spend much time wondering why nature is the way it is, where the cosmos came from, or whether it was always there. If time will one day flow backward, or whether there are ultimate limits to what humans can know. What is the smallest piece of matter? Why we remember the past and not the future? And why there is a universe.
So I will continue. Sorry if there were more nature, because I tried to show you nature, and I couldn't fix up some elements of this video, but by this I tried to show the nature of Kazakhstan also, which also linked to the beekeeping. If I may continue with my short presentation. Well, for the production of honey, used a lot of rare plants in my country, which have been preserved only in the territory of Kazakhstan and listed in the Red Book. Among them, there are many honey-bearing flowers that give not only delicious, but also healing honey. The variety, we have one, mountain herbs. It is composed of several hundred species of medicinal herbs and plants. Our line is considered as a premium product. So as I mentioned in the beginning, that in 2010, the National Union of Beekeepers of Kazakhstan, Balara, was established and continues to operate successfully nowadays. This organization annually conducts an international and Republican honey festivals, Golden Autumn. During this 42nd Congress of International Federation of Agricultural Associations, Apimondia in Argentina in 2011, the National Union of Beekeepers of Kazakhstan was officially accepted as a member of this organization. Then Kazakhstan becomes a member of another international organization in the European space called Apislavia. So in 2017, February, Kazakhstan Union of Beekeepers sent its specialist experts for training course organized by Mashaf in Israel. So it was very useful, and the training course was attended by a representative of Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Georgia, Armenia, and Belarus. So the introduction of new technologies for the development of beekeeping has contributed to the fact that beekeeping has risen to a new level of development, as equipment is used in production from Japan, Russia, Hungary, Poland, China, Canada, etc. And at the same time, the state also provides farmers with various types of support in the form of subsidies, loans, and services through the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, Atamiken, Jammu International Entrepreneurship Development Fund, and various affiliates of the Ministry of Agriculture. While there is a great demand for environmentally friendly products of domestic beekeepers, Kazakhstan honey is exported to countries such as Russia, China, USA, Mongolia, United Arab Emirates, Germany, Japan, South Korea, and other regions. Top Kazakhstan exporters, there are some companies, Lepsi Honey, Peasants Farm, Tianshine, Medovik, Sunbee, some 10 companies, which is listed in my presentation. Well, it is counted around 50,000 of private beekeepers in Kazakhstan. They usually distribute their products along the road, highway companies, and rural areas. So the Republic of Kazakhstan is one of the 5 countries with the most favorable conditions for the development of beekeeping. According to the National Union of Beekeeping of Kazakhstan, by 2050, through the rapid development of beekeeping, the Republic of Kazakhstan will be able to produce 1 million tons of honey annually and attract up to the 10 billion US dollars to the country's economy. So today when I spoke to the president of the Beekeeping Association, Mr. Terrace, he told that, well, the task now is with the unemployment because of the coronavirus, the Beekeeping Association of Kazakhstan is tasked to create around 100,000 jobs in 3 years in this beekeeping industry, so that beekeeping industry can contribute to this to the fight against coronavirus and to create to fight unemployment rates. So this is the end of my short presentation. Thank you very much. If you have some questions, please may ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your presentation. And now I would like to ask the Swiss Ambassador, Jean Daniel Ruch, to start his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good. I would like to thank you, Andrea, for this wonderful initiative. And also I would like to thank, obviously, the other organizers. Not just because you thought about me to talk about a subject which is dear to my heart, but also because this is a global problem of a significant importance. To quote one of the most famous Swiss citizens ever, who is also, by the way, one of the most famous Jew ever, Albert Einstein, who used to have good instincts and pretty accurate intuitions. He said once that the day the last bee will die, mankind will have only 4 years left. And we have seen the trend globally, and the trend globally is not good. I would like to thank also my two previous speakers, especially Ambassador Burshakov. I really look forward to try the honey from Kazakhstan. I won't forget your promise. I hope we have an opportunity to meet soon.
Okay.
But maybe, yeah, but maybe closest to my heart, I would like to thank Anyan from Nepal, because, well, you showed the spectacular way of bee hunting, but you also showed the more traditional way of honey harvesting. And this is what I used to do with my father until I left home, basically. And this is a memory which is very dear to me, and I remember that because that was exactly the way, as we've seen on your pictures, how we used to extract the honey. And I can tell you, if you have never experienced that, you have to do that, especially if you turn the wheel by hand, the crank, because you first, after you have removed, of course, the wax and the cork wax which the bees have put on the cells, then you put them in a machine and you start to turn the wheel, and the honey is hitting the metal wall of the little machine, and already the sound is something absolutely beautiful. And after that, you see this golden honey which is flowing down on the bucket, and really it is gold. It is gold. You have really the feeling that it's something extremely precious. And the most beautiful thing is to put your finger there, take some honey, which is a little bit warm, around your finger, and just lick it. So thank you for reminding me of some of the most beautiful moments of my youth. Now, what I want to say is that obviously there is a global trend which is not good. And Switzerland has very much been following these global trends, which are due to all the things which have been mentioned before, like the intensification of agriculture, of the use of more chemicals, climate change, also urbanization of our environment. All this has contributed to a radical reduction of the number of bees, beehives, and beekeepers. Today, with about 18,000 beekeepers in Switzerland, we have half the population of beekeepers we used to have 60 years ago. The good news, though, the good news is that there is an upward trend. In the past 4 years, we could see a 20% increase in the number of beekeepers. Why? Because there was a wake-up call. And this is where also we can be happy to see that culture sometimes has a profound social effect. In 2012, a documentary, Swiss one, made by the Swiss filmmaker Markus Imhof, was released, which was called More Than Honey. And in this documentary, Markus Imhof travels the world and basically explains all these bad things, this bad behavior that many people have in the industrial production of honey that contribute to the death of bees, to the spreading of illnesses, and at the end, to a drastic reduction of the population of bees and other insects, by the way, in the world, which is life-threatening for mankind, as Albert Einstein sensed back then. Now, this documentary, which has received dozens of awards and almost made it to the Oscars, has really been a wake-up call in several societies, and certainly in my society. So, as a result, and this is very good, a young generation, more urban also, has started to develop their own beekeeping. And that's why we have seen this pretty dramatic growth in the number of bees and beekeepers. So today, 18,000, each one of them is, we are talking about small enterprise. Each one of them has about 10 beehives, so it makes roughly 200,000 beehives, the economic impact is estimated, taking into account everything as Ambassador Canaan made, about 400 million Swiss francs, or which is the same as dollars, per year. But I think that more importantly than those figures, under the impulse of this young generation, most of them have joined the Green Party, which has won several elections, including has made huge gains in our last federal elections last year. So the Green Party is really the force which is mounting. And saving the bees has been also one of their priorities. So last year, there was a petition, and in 3 months, they collected 165,000 signatures to ask the federal institutions, government and parliament, to urgently take measures to save the bees and to promote the revival of beekeeping. The government and the parliament, the government already has approved the plan, which has been now passed to the parliament, and we hope that this bill will be passed this year. It was probably delayed because of the coronavirus, but we still hope that either in the fall or winter session of our parliament, they will be able to adopt these measures, which include the obligation to the farmers and to the municipalities to compensate the loss of natural meadows. Natural meadows means you have lots of flowers, which are, of course, very friendly to bees. So to compensate this loss, which is going to the profit of agriculture, intense agriculture, with natural spaces, with flowers. So between two pieces of cultivated land, there will probably be soon an obligation to have a strip of land which is natural, with flowers, with no pesticides, no chemicals whatsoever. The second important measure is the reduction and the smarter use of chemicals and pesticides. I don't think we are still there to prohibit entirely the use of chemicals and pesticides, but what I'm told is that a smarter use of these chemicals can have the desired effect. A third measure, which is obviously connected to the smarter use of chemicals, is a better training of professionals, including farmers. In our country, to be allowed to become a farmer, you need to have a federal diploma. And to obtain this federal diploma, you need to work 4 years in a farm, do part-time on a farm, part-time in the studies. So it will be part of the education also to teach the new farmers, the youngest farmers, how much diversity and how much insects, and in particular bees, are important. And last but not least, but something which is also very interesting, I think, we are planning to encourage the creation of ecosystems in the urban areas, in the cities, with bees. Actually, you have already in some parts of our main cities more bees than in the countryside, where they are overusing and abusing the nature. So bringing the bees downtown is also part of the plan. Now, these are all, I think, very positive measures. I hope they can also inspire other countries, including Israel, because I have realized here, since it's the first time I think I live in an environment with no bees at all, and since I have my vegetable garden, I have realized the difficulty you have to cultivate cucumbers, zucchini, and pumpkins in particular, if you do not have bees to do the work of pollination. So I'm trying now to learn how to do that myself. And even though my last name means in French beehive, well, I'm not quite as successful as bees to pollinize, but I'm trying hard. I wish also to announce that we will screen the movie I mentioned before, More Than Honey, which has really been a big success, a blockbuster. as in my garden in the next weeks, in the next few weeks, as part of a new program we are launching, which is called Green Diplomacy. Thank you very much, and thank you for this beautiful initiative.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for this. And now I think we have also Yossi Ud.
Yes. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
It was hello. It was stuck here. Good evening, everybody, and good evening, Andrea. And thank you very much for this meeting and all this panel of people here, the ambassadors. Thank you very much. All the speakers talk about the problem of the bees and problem of the insects and the problem of what happens if the bees will disappear. We are like to give another solution to the problem in the bees in the world, another relationship with the bees, and I will demonstrate it with a little film of less than 2 minutes, okay?
כן, הנה, יפה כבר. די, תבואו. לא באו אליי. לא, לא באים אליי. הנה, עלתה שנייה. עלתה לשנייה. הלכה, יש לה מלא. די, למה אותי לא עולים? שרי, הייתה עלייך על הכובע. אף אחד לא אוהב את זה. היא יכולה להוציא אותו? מישהו כל הזמן שלו.
לא, אני חושב שלא. לא, אל תדאג איתמי, זה לא עוקץ שלה.
העוקץ בתוך הגוף.
העוקץ בתוך הגוף, כן.
רגע, בואי אליי, את רוצה שאני אקח אותה או שהיא בסדר לך? בוודאי, כן. תראי אותה. רוצה שאני אקח לך אותם? כן. לאט תתעלה.
סבלנות איתם, צריך להיות מאוד רגוע איתם.
איתם הם קטנו מתוקות. אפשר להחליק שתיים?
Unfortunately, probably most of you are not understood the children. Oh, the bee is so cute. Oh, can I hold 2 of them? Maybe. Or why she's going to you and she's not coming to me? And what I would like to suggest to the world, to the humanity, to create a new relationship with the bees, like you saw in our educational program that we are working in schools in everywhere around Israel. And in our belief, our way to keep bees by the natural way, or biodynamic approach, if the humanity around the world will create a new relationship with the bees, a relationship of friendly, relationship of honor, relationship of love, the CCD, the colony collapse disorder, the disappearing bees from the world will finish. The problem with the acclimate disaster will finish. Many of the main problem of the world will finish. And I welcome you to learn how to create those relationships between bees and children, of course, and all the people here. Here in the center of Jerusalem, on the rooftop, we have our beehive, friend of all the neighbors here. And thank you very much. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, all of you, for what we share. It was real interesting to learn and to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yossi. I also would like to join you and thank all the panelists, all the ambassadors that joined me here. It was amazing to hear all your stories and to share the experiences from your countries. And this was, I think, a wonderful and nice occasion to celebrate the World Bee Day. So I just want to wish you all again a very happy Bee Day today. Yom Dvora Sameach. And I thank you. I think that this concludes for today our session. Thank you again very much for all your contributions and to be here with me and help me celebrate this World Bee Day, and that you were engaged to be engaged. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. We still have the meditation, of course, and small prayer for the bees.
Thank you, Andrea.
So, is it okay? Can I start?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll make a short meditation, a guided meditation for the wealth of the bees, of our planet, of the land. So you're all welcome to sit back in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. And you can breathe to your lower stomach, gently and slowly. Relax your body. Relax your head, your face, your neck, your hands, your back, your chest. Relax your internal organs, your legs. Relax all your body from head to toe. Try to clear away any thought, any emotion or physical feeling from your mind. We'll try to stay really quiet and calm. And if a thought comes, we will gently clear it from our mind. We will let our thoughts go away compassionately, as if the thought is a bee sitting on our hand. We won't be angry of the bee, right? We will ask her lovingly to move to a different place. And we will just sit with our body and mind loosened. We will try to see in our minds and hearts a bee. imagine the bee activity. Maybe she's pollinating from flower to flower. Maybe she's drinking nectar. Maybe she's building a honeycomb. Let's take a few moments to see the bee working. Now we will try to see the bee and her activity without her material side. Let's just try to imagine the essence of the bee's activity, the non-material side of the activity, the being, the actual being of the bee, its impulse to act as it acting. Let's take a few moments to reflect on these deep thoughts, on the nature of the bee activity. Now let's try to characterize for ourselves what the nature of the bee activity is. Perhaps it's compassion, concern for the other, giving, sharing. Maybe it's love. Let's just for a moment try to swim in the essence of the bees, to swim in the honey of the bees. Let's try for a second to feel like a bee ourselves. Let us all pray for the well-being and health of the bees. We are asking that they will have all they need to recover. We will ask ourselves to learn from them the impulse of their activity, to embrace as human beings the essence that drives the bees, to be such an amazing being, such a devoted creature for the earth. Let's try to be a little bit more like bees. Thank you very much. Okay. So thank you all for coming, for joining us. We're definitely going to meet next year. And keep in touch with the Muslala Facebook page to see the recording of the whole day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone are unmuted. You can speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
תישאר שנייה, אתה צריך בוא נראה מי יישאר. רגע, רק
Fascinating.
ברגע שהמנהל סגר אז עבוד.
פרנסיסקו אסטיבס.
מי זה?
תודה רבה.
תודה רבה, thank you very much.
תודה רבה,
Have a good evening.
היה מעניין ומאלף, תודה רבה.
תודה רבה.
תודה רבה. תודה רבה. Thank you very much. תודה. היה מעניין מאוד.
תודה.
Hello?
Hello, hello. Albert Muller, thank you that you stayed with us all the day. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah. We will talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll certainly do that.
Yeah.
Have a nice day, Father.
You have a nice evening. Goodbye. Thank you, Andrea. It was great meeting. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope you liked it.
Yes,
For
of
the whole
course.
day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Andrea, we have hundreds of painting of children that they would like to give you to put on your website.
Oh, I'm so excited about how many children were painting the pictures. That's amazing.
Yes, and we have another 150 with us that we have to send you and put in the web.
Oh, that's great. That's I was very pleasantly surprised, really, that there was so much interest. This is very exciting.
Wow, you're gonna
Yes.
have it.
So we will do that again next year.
Yes, of course.
That's nice. That's a real buddy, you know.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.